So after playing some of those really, really neat number tricks, and also seeing some of the order of operations and especially the algebra behind the number tricks, today we're going to undo it. You know how the Nike saying is just do it? Well, we're going to just undo it. So the idea is that if we undo these expressions, it's kind of like solving an equation. And the big key here is when we solve an equation, we want to undo the operations. So we need to figure out the order of operations and then undo them. Let me show you what I mean. And I overheard the story between my daughter Emma and Rowan. So they play number tricks all the time. And Emma said, okay, here's my number trick. Add 3, multiply by 7, subtract 4, divide by 2, and add 1. And when I do it, I get 13. And her friend Rowan's pretty sharp. Rowan thinks for a second, goes, was your starting number 1? And Emma says, no way! Well, how'd Rowan do it? Well, we're going to do this by organizing a table to show you how to do it. So what happened was we started with picking a number. So we don't know what Emma's number was that she picked. Well, we kind of know it was 1, but what we did was let's assume that it's the variable x. Now let's build our expression. So now we're adding 3. You might remember this from doing the number trick. Now we have x plus 3. We're going to multiply that by 7. So I'm going to go 7 times the quantity x plus 3. So I'm going to put that x plus 3 in parentheses. I'm multiplying x plus 3 times 7. Then I'm going to subtract 4. So I have this whole thing, 7 times the quantity x plus 3, and I'm going to subtract 4. Then I'm going to divide all that by 2. Okay, I'm going to make a big old fraction here. And then I'm going to take that big old fraction, and I'm going to add 1 to it. So this is the expression that represents Emma's number trick. Now, let's think about what's going on here. The last step was adding 1. So what should be the first step if we're undoing? Yeah, to undo, add 1, you got to subtract 1. So we're going to subtract 1. Now, check it out. What's 13 minus 1? Let's put that up here. We get 12. Now, how do you undo divide by 2? There we go. So we're going to multiply by 2. So let's multiply by 2, and let's put our answer right there. 2 times 12 is 24. Okay, now the next one was subtract 4. How do we undo subtract 4? I think you're getting the hang of this. We add 4. 24 plus 4 is 28. How do you undo multiply by 7? You got it, divide by 7. Let's keep undoing. 28 divided by 7 is 4. How do you then undo add 3? Well, we're going to subtract 3. And 4 minus 3 is 1. And in this undo box up here, we'll put a happy face because we found our answer. So think about what you just did. By knowing the undoing steps, you just solve this equation. Now, suppose I started you out and said, okay, solve this equation. You'd be like, whoa, what am I doing? But think about what's going on here. If I start with x, I'm going to try to do a couple of things here. If I start with this x right there, think about what's going on here. I'm starting with x, and then I'm adding 3. That gives me that there. Then I multiply by 7. Then I subtract 4. Then I divide by 2. And then I add 1. So I'm saying I'm doing a number trick, and I get 13. If I start with x and do this order of operations, I get 13. Well, let's do this then. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Let's undo the order of operations. Are you ready? Let's check it out. Here we go. If we're going to undo this order of operations, the last thing I'm doing is adding 1. So let's subtract 1 from both sides. So I get big old fraction equals 12. The order of operations here says the last thing I'm going to do in this fraction is divide by 2. So let's undo it by multiplying by 2. Those 2's cancel. I'm left with 7 times the quantity x plus 3, subtract 4, and all that equals 24. Now it might look familiar to you. Let's add 4 to both sides. I get 7 times x plus 3 equals 28. Now, what you might be saying here is, well, what if I distribute the 7? I can always distribute the 7. You're right, you can. It doesn't matter if you do or not. I'm going to just divide everything by 7. And I get x plus 3 equals 4. If I subtract 3, I get that x equals 1. And you've just solved an equation by doing the opposite of the order of operations. We call that undoing. Strong work, my friend.